Today I'm talking about doing things purely for the love of the game. Not because it's going to 10x your ability to invest in the stock market or generate your eighth different stream of income or teach you how to become a high value man. Just doing things because they're enjoyable, because for whatever reason you were naturally drawn to them, also known as being authentically yourself. I want to talk about it because it's seemingly gone out of fashion. It's kind of sad, man. People don't seem to have times for hobbies anymore. So, let me give you a concrete example of what I'm trying to say. When I was a kid, if you liked a video game, you played it for the story or the cool graphics or to try and beat your friend in FIFA for bragging rights. Kind of like some weird status symbol of being the guy in school that no one could beat at FIFA or whatever. I don't know. Status from a young age. In the USA, it's probably 2K, and in Asia, I feel like these motherfuckers spawn out the womb with preset keybinds to League of Legends, so they'd just be good at any game anyways, and that's besides the point. You fell in love with the characters of the story. You could relate to their story, their beginnings, their struggles, and it didn't just help you understand yourself. In a weird sort of way, it kind of made you feel heard, like you weren't weird for having these issues. I guess feeling represented or some shit. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but you get the point. And now, if you have a hobby like reading a book, you make a book list that the person can only access if they join your mailing list so you can farm their data from an audience on a platform. Or you stream the video games that you like to play and you make 15 Instagram reels and TikToks from clip farming. You basically put deadlines and performance KPIs on something you used to do just because you loved it, and somehow you turn it into a job because you're told that if you're going to be spending your time doing something, you may as well try and monetize it. And that's such a shame because that takes the activity from doing something you just love for the enjoyment, for the joy it gives you, from the life it makes you feel, to basically, oh, how can I put metrics on this for performance tracking data? It's embarrassing, it's sad, it's pathetic, and I hate that about what we currently live through. And I'm not saying it's inherently a bad thing either. I understand why this has occurred. And if you could offer me a job making millions a year streaming my favorite video games versus working 12-hour days in an office, best believe I'm locking in, bro. I'm not leaving my fucking streaming room. I'm not showering. I will grind for that milli. But that's not the point. And the fact that this is so absent, this doing things purely because you enjoy doing them, is a real problem. And so I think it's really important that you find something that you do not for any other reason other than just loving it. So you may have heard of it, right? Grind set culture. So what is it? Effectively, what I think it is a status symbol. The whole, I only sleep 4 hours a night, bro. I don't have time to have fun, man. I'm building an empire. Hobbies are beta. The list goes on. And this isn't helped by our algorithms force feeding us content into our eyeballs like some sort of MK Ultra mind control experiment. Because you looked up some self-improvement tips to help you deal with life better, and then the next thing you know, your whole feed is just a bunch of bald dudes with sunglasses on and skinny chinos with a dip print calling you a pussy for being fond of doing puzzles. And look, if financial advice and building businesses and dropshipping companies is your passion and life purpose, then more power to you, man. But the majority of people, I'd say 99%, couldn't really care less about something like that. This video is for the people who just want to do something they love without some guy on the internet making them feel guilty about it. I think the murderous death of the hobby was caused by the weird obsession with the grind. And it actually used to be something I was obsessed with too. But then my life happened. So I want to give you the story that sort of changed my perspective around the never-ending grind. Because I actually used to be a grind set guy, right? So when I was a teen, my dad died of alcoholism. And then 6 months later, my little bro lost his battle to mental health. And that has a really unique way of finger blasting your perception of life. It changed my values, what was important to me, what I viewed as success, and it also brought to the surface a lot of trauma and issues that I managed to bury deep down without realizing it. It was kind of incredible how much shit was going on. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, it was hell on earth at the time. But every cloud does actually have a silver lining. Because when your life is actually that unbearable, like it's that confusing, painful, you're surrounded by grief, whatever, you are forced to make changes that end up making your life significantly better in the long run. And it makes you face up to things that previously you don't know if you could have managed, but the fact you managed it gives you that unique perspective of, oh, when I go to this job interview, I got through the things I went through, so I can definitely get through this. It gives you almost an anchor or a reference point to always refer back to and think back to and think, oh mate, if I can do that, then anything's possible. But when I was in the midst of this, I started getting therapy, which was the best thing I ever did with my life. I then started to read a lot and watch a lot of videos around psychology and mental health and fitness. I am a personal trainer by trade in my real life, so I don't know, I got really into my fitness because it took my mind off things. It brought me to watching early YouTube Jordan Peterson, who I know now has kind of gone off the deep end and has been memed to death, but early JP was legitimately goated, and he helped me understand my brain in a way not many people could. Now, I know this video is going to sound like a man-child moaning about how you have to work hard to make money. It's not that. In real life, I am a personal trainer. I own a personal training business. I am self-employed. I know the meaning of hard work. And with these clients that I train, we talk about mental health topics all the time, because that's a big part of fitness and people don't understand how interlinked the mental and the physical are, but that's a story for another day. And it's something I enjoy. I also love video games. For me, it's always an escape, and it was for my brother and me as children. I think video games are still that for a lot of adults. I don't have any hard stats on this, but from what I see, watching Dr. K videos and all these sort of things, I think there's a pretty direct correlation between mental health issues and video game addiction in the form of escapism. And addiction is never actually the problem. It's always the result or byproduct of something deeper down within ourselves. But again, topic for another video. The point is, when I mentioned earlier, do you get your perception of life finger blasted to outer space by the death of a dad and brother? It does make you question, what is all this actually for? And this is where the question led me to, and this is why I started this YouTube channel, to do this purely for the love of the fucking game. Before I get to the meat and potatoes of why hobbies are so based, I want to talk about this channel, because this channel is going to be a hobby for me, and that's exactly why I want to talk about it. The goal here is to just yap about topics that I find interesting. I have no real interest in being the next PewDiePie or making millions of dollars of ad revenue. I'm not always going to have the perfect flowing structure or a detailed polished AI script to read from, because that's not the point of this. This is meant to help me with my writing skills, my reading skills without stuttering and using filler words. Like, I want to form a community of like-minded people and have people be able to join a Discord one day and go into it, and that's what I want this to be. I don't care about how efficient this is, how good the hook is. I don't care. I just want people to be able to put this on whilst they're in the shower, in their car, on the way to work, whatever, and just listen to something. I'm doing this for the love of the game, to get better at skill. For me, it's a spoken journal to the internet, and it's probably why I'll never show you my face, because, you know, I have my job and whatnot, but I'm hoping to make a community of like-minded individuals. I just want good vibes, man. I feel the world needs it. But anyway, yeah, I just think it's sad that you don't see it anymore. People doing things just because. So, in the same way hobbies being monetized is a problem, having them themselves is almost the antidote, right? The modern world teaches us to turn everything into a means to an end. And a hobby sort of reminds us that some things are just the ends in themselves. If you think about your day-to-day life, most of the things you do on a daily basis are just a means to an end. You work so you can earn money. You exercise to lose weight. You study to get into a school that gives you a job, that gives you a better chance of making more money. So you can network to meet the right people and then go to the job that makes you more money. And I'm not saying money is a bad thing. Money's cool, man. But when your whole life and day are purely based on the pursuit of money, eventually you'll look back and think, is that really all I did with my finite time on earth? I just chased an imaginary thing that humans invented. But the dope thing about a hobby is that the hobby itself is the reward. That's it. There's no other objective, no KPI, no metrics, no care for a follower count, no income goal attached to it. You do it, and the doing of it is enough. In a world that is constantly asking you, what are you getting out of this world? What can you extract? A hobby is a way of saying, I don't need anything out of it. I just do it because I find it enjoyable for whatever reason. Another thing is hobbies give you permission to exist. I think that's the deepest thing about it, really. In the day and age where your value is based on how much money you earn, who you know, what car you got, your followers, how much you get done in a day, how little sleep you get, how hard you grind every single day, a hobby sort of just gets rid of all of that, because you're doing something because you genuinely love it, just purely for the sake of doing it, and you're not just performing for anyone. You're not optimizing for anything. You are just existing. And in 2024, that seems like some crazy fucking concept, but that is just living life. Hobbies are literally you engaging with life rather than trying to take from it for, again, a means to an end. And I think that's worth protecting. And the last couple of things that I want to talk on is this identity thing, right? A hobby is something you can identify with, but it's just a part of you, really. Like, when the grind is all you have, and you lose the job or the business and the following, then what even are you? Like, you know, who are you other than the person who had all these things? At your core, who are you? I think a hobby is something that kind of allows you to express you, do you know what I mean? Without any of that. So I think that's really important. And then like also social media has sort of turned these weird hobbies into performance. You can't even enjoy a run anymore without posting it. The moment you share it, you're seeking validation from it, and it changes the whole relationship with the activity. It's kind of crazy. Like I feel like the performative side of Instagram has made everyone very inauthentic. Like you do something purely because it would look good if you were doing it, not because you love it, but because people will think of you in a certain way if you do it. Life has become very performative in that way, and I think it's kind of concerning. I do. I really do think it's kind of concerning. Like, and I think social media has obviously amplified that. I think people pick up hobbies because they like the idea of like, I'd look cool if I played the drums. I'd look cool if I started a business and I drove a Porsche. But life is the bit on the way to those things. Once you actually get those things, once you acquire those objects, all that status, the novelty wears off very quickly. So you may as well enjoy getting there. And then the last thing is flow state, which I'm actually making another video on in a deeper dive on it. But if you can spend as much time in flow state as possible, you will live a better life. It's basically the time where you're not really keeping track of time, you're unaware of time because you're so immersed in a topic, and that usually has a direct correlation with you loving the shit out of the thing. So I think more people should spend time in flow state, and if you don't know what that is, try things, find what you enjoy. That's life, that's learning, and that's what it's all about. So I hope you have a good day, and goodbye.